Blessings everyone, I'm Father Frankie Cicero and welcome to my channel, a channel where I want to equip men to live the gospel. Now ladies, you are totally invited, please stay, but my dudes, this is for you. Now as men, we need to be open, honest, and share our hearts with one another. And what better way than for me to share my heart with you, to give you a glimpse into my life and what the Lord has done. I mean, it's a wild story from bartender to... So I was really blessed to be able to grow up in the Catholic faith. I was an altar server for many years, which I absolutely loved. And I just had this natural inclination and love for the Lord. And this though was really hard for my relationship with my dad. See, my dad was 100% Sicilian and definitely had a lot of machismo. So God, tears, emotions were really hard for my dad. And that was my world. God, tears, emotions, my heart, man, that was just who I was. And it really created a division with my dad and I. It was so hard for me to feel loved, proud of, to feel like I was the son that my dad wanted because of this division between my heart and his. It actually came to a head one day when I was 18 years old. So my dad one evening pulls my mom, my sister, and I, sits us down, and he looks at us and he says, "I don't want you anymore. I'm done with you. I'm leaving." And after he says this, he actually gets up and he grabs me and he pulls me aside and proceeds to tell me more things. And he looks at me and he says, "You are not the son I wanted. You are not good enough to be my son." And then he leaves, walks out the door. My mom, my sister, and I absolutely just, there's no words for the feeling, the experience, the emotions, the surprise that was going on in all of our hearts in this moment. And as a few days went by, we began to realize and found out that my dad was actually addicted to meth for many years, and we didn't even know about it. He also found out he was cheating on my mom, and my dad, all the money that he was making was going towards his addiction and to his mistress. And we come to find out that we have major debt. And within weeks of all this happening, we lost our home, cars repossessed, and there were just a flood of calls from collection agencies for all these debts that my dad never paid. This was seriously one of the most horrific and difficult times in my life, in my family's life, from one moment thinking that life and everything was okay and things were stable to literally everything being flipped upside down. And man, I was angry. I mean, literally, I'm an 18-year-old kid. My dad just told me that I wasn't good enough to be a son. We're in crazy debt. We don't have a home. I have no idea what's going on. I have to figure this out as now the man of the family. And you know who I was mad at? I was mad at God. I remember I was praying and I was screaming at the Lord. And I just said, "I have given you everything. I have done everything that you asked of me. No drugs, no alcohol. I have wanted to save myself for marriage. And this is what you give me? This is what you allow to happen? I'm done with you. I want nothing to do with you." And so I left. I left the Lord completely. And I jumped completely into what my dad says makes a man. Jumped into everything the world says brings you happiness. I mean, like I said, I was broken. I was angry, and I was looking for just some form of comfort in this crazy mess that I was thrown into. And so I looked for my purpose, my meaning, my worth in the world, in drugs, in alcohol, in women, looking for my worth as a man in promiscuity, in women in this particular lifestyle that I just gave my heart over to. You know, I blamed God. I blamed him for everything, as if it was God's fault, right, that my dad did these things. But I blamed him. I blamed the wrong person. I should have blamed my dad. But I blamed the wrong person. I blamed God, and I left him, and I closed my heart to the Lord completely. And I gave my allegiance to the world. I gave my heart completely and utterly to the world.